Jennifer Ballick, Executive Director at Kindred Place, back with our Mindfulness series with my friend David Quarles. Hey, how you doing? We are talking about mindfulness in May for Mental Health Awareness Month, and today we're going to talk about mindfulness in your physical office setting. So mindfulness at work in the space around you. You up for this?
I think so.
Okay, when we talked about our home environments, we talked about tidying up, we talked about plants, we talked about natural light. When you think about your workspace, or when you're helping people with workspaces, what are some of the things that you think about if they're different from your home environment?
I would say that honestly, there is a lot of overlap in the concepts for that, and especially now that a lot of us may be going back to the office now, and I've been doing a study on like how the work styles have changed in more people since we have been at home for so long, and now returning to the office is kind of like, well, I liked how home felt, and so it's always bringing in like little touches of home if you can, as much as possible. So if you're in a cubicle, for instance, if you want to bring in maybe a stool that has storage in it, so that's kind of like the thing, like if you have one of those one-off meetings, you need to tidy up your space real quick, just put it all in the drawer. Yep, and then that way you also have like an additional space for someone to go and sit. I know that's what happened with me when I was working in the cubicle. And then like just bring in, if you have a plant, your photos, and not overdoing it, I will say, but just bring in small little touches that kind of remind you of what it is to be at home and things that calm you down, because especially with a lot of us, all positions right now in any company, fast-paced, a lot. We're probably doing 2 or 3 positions. And so we need to make sure that we have just everything that we need to kind of bring us back to center. And so if that is something that, maybe a diffuser, if we can have that with like some nice essential oils, bring that. And just little reminders that the day is happy. For
people who are still working at home, many of us, 2 of us included, were working from home during the pandemic. And I know for me, it took me a minute to get my workspace territory separate from my home space when it was really in the same room. Are there things that people can think about that help separate, if you're still working at home or if you've always worked at home, that help separate your workspace from your home space?
I would say if you don't have like a separate room, maybe if you can bring in a desk that is specifically for your work. And if it is, I know for me, it ended up being my dining room table, because everything was already set up. And I ended up, if it's not anything that's physical that you can bring in, just make sure, or it could be a tote, like a small tote, because that could be how you clock out for the day. So once you are finished with your work, put everything that is office related into that tote. And if it can be one of those that has like the little rolls or like the little wheels under it, you can put it under your bed and tuck it away until it's time to clock back in.
I love that idea, physically separating the work away from your home life, really. Put it away so that you aren't looking at it.
Yeah, because if it's out, you're gonna do it.
Are there particular colors, and when you think of being calm and mindful at work, are there colors that come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think that with blues, and I like to go a little bit more with pastels now, just because one, it's a big trend that's coming back, so FYI. But going with pastels because I think that kind of brings us back to childhood a little bit, and I guess if it's specifically around like springtime and the outfits that kind of go along with that and the festive days that go along with that as well. But for me, it's not super intense, and it's just enough color to bring you a sense of happy, but still calm you down. So I like things that invigorate but calm you down. And I think that with pastels, or if you want to do any deep blues, something that you can maybe get lost in. So deep blues, teals, and something that you can simply look at and imagine yourself in a different space. Because if I see that, then I'm thinking of the ocean, and then the emotion that is probably, like with the beach visit. And you can sometimes even, depending upon your imagination, go as far as how that day may smell. And you completely transport yourself from what could be a stressful work day, and at least for a moment, just daydreaming or a day trip during a daydream. So
in the world of sound, so we talk about our 5 senses in our working space. You talked about how things smell, how things look, the light. Are there things that you think about for sound? Like if people have want to dampen sound or want to make something feel a little bit more calm and protected? Are there tips and tricks that people can think about?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think, I would say one, if you can at work, if you can bring your earphones or anything and just listen to like your favorite soundtrack. That's one thing that, because music inspires me. But if that's not necessarily the case and you can maybe have a white noise machine or something that is not very, because it wouldn't interrupt the work environment too much. And so if you can have like white noise, if it's maybe like the ocean sound or something like that, just something to kind of to calm or to filter out everything that's kind of going around. And I think the best sound that you can get if you are not able to bring anything in, but you are able to take maybe a 5-minute break, go outside and walk and listen to outside, listen to the birds, listen to nothing. And that kind of helps me. But I would say if you bring something in, white noise machine or your favorite music for the day.
Yeah. One of my favorite 5-minute meditations is to sit and just listen to the sounds around and listen for everything that you can hear in the quiet. It's amazing how much sound is all around us that we don't really think about. Well, thank you. These are really useful things that people can put into practice. I want to thank you for helping us think about mindfulness in our workspaces. Thank everybody for checking in with David and his tips and techniques. Want to remind everyone that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is always an important issue for all of us in our physical spaces and inside our physical bodies. Self-care tips and mindfulness tips like these are terrific supports for mental health, but they're not a substitute for therapy or for professional help. If you are struggling with an issue, reach out for help and make sure that you are taking good care of yourself. At Kindred Place, we can help you find a match if we're not it. So please give us a call.